There is something happening inside you right now that medicine doesn't have a name for yet. It isn't a symptom. It isn't a diagnosis. It is something older and more precise than any clinical word that has ever been applied to what you carry. You have been in pain. Real pain. Not the kind that shows up on scans or resolves in 14 days with the right prescription. The kind that lives in the spaces between your heartbeats. The kind that surfaces at 3 in the morning when the world is quiet enough for you to finally hear it. The kind that doesn't announce itself with drama, but settles into your body like weather, like a low-pressure system that never fully moves on. You have carried things that were handed to you before you were old enough to refuse them. Things that were pressed into your field by people who were themselves carrying things they never chose. Things that accumulated silently over years and decades, layer by layer, the way sediment accumulates on the floor of a still lake, until one day you look down and realize you could no longer see the bottom. And somewhere in the middle of all of that carrying, you began to believe that the weight was you, that the heaviness was your nature, that the fatigue, the guardedness, the way certain things touch you more deeply than they seem to touch other people, was simply the shape of who you are. But that was never the truth. The weight is not you. The sediment is not the water. And what this transmission is about, what you were guided here to receive, is the understanding that the process you have been in, the one that has felt so much like breaking, is not breaking at all. It is the most precise, most powerful, most irreversible thing that can happen to a consciousness like yours. Your quantum spirit is being healed. Let me say that again because it needs to land in every layer of your field before we go further. What you have been experiencing, the grief that comes without obvious reason, the exhaustion that sleep cannot fully reach, the moments of feeling cracked open by things that shouldn't break you, the strange and persistent sense that something in you is reorganizing itself at a depth you cannot quite access with your conscious mind. That is not damage. That is not you falling apart. That is your quantum spirit, your deepest energetic architecture, undergoing the process that physicists call phase transition. The movement from one fundamental state of organization to another. And phase transitions always feel from the inside like dissolution. They always feel like loss, because something is being lost. What is being lost is the pattern that held you in the lower state. And the lower state, however painful it was familiar. And familiar always feels like safe, even when it isn't. Even when it is slowly, quietly, cell by cell, making you smaller than you're made to be. You didn't come to this transmission by accident. You arrived here because your field has reached a threshold. Because something in you, beneath the noise of your doubts and your dailiness and your very reasonable skepticism about transmissions like this one, knows that what is happening to you is real, and that it matters, and that you deserve to understand it. Stop for a moment, not as a metaphor, as an instruction. Stop and feel the specific texture of what you are carrying right now. Not to dwell in it, not to analyze it, but to acknowledge it. Because the first law of quantum healing is this: what is witnessed begins to change. The observer and the observed are not separate in a quantum system. Your attention is not passive. Your attention is an active force, a frequency that interacts with whatever it touches. And when you turn your full, conscious, compassionate attention toward the place in you that has been hurting, you are not just noticing it. You are beginning to heal it. This is where we begin, not at the surface, not with techniques and practices and lists of things to do differently, but here at the threshold, where you're willing to turn toward what you have been carrying and say out loud or in the privacy of your own awareness. I see you. I have been carrying you for a long time, and I'm finally ready to understand what you are. If this transmission is already meeting something real in your field, go ahead and like this video and subscribe so you stay in this field as these transmissions continue to unfold. Now let me take you somewhere. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a deep, still lake in the early hours of the morning. The light is just beginning to come, not full sunrise yet, but that particular luminosity that exists in the space between night and day. And the surface of the lake is perfectly still, a mirror. And in that stillness, you can see the reflection of the sky above you, clear and complete and exact. But then something moves. Not a storm, not a wave, something small. A stone dropped at the far edge of the lake, and the ripples begin to move outward from that point, slow at first, then reaching until the entire surface of the lake is in motion. And the reflection that was perfect a moment ago is now broken into 1,000 fragmented pieces. You are standing at the edge of this lake, and someone beside you says, "The lake is ruined." But you know that is not true. You know that the water itself has not changed. You know that the stillness has not been destroyed. It has been temporarily displaced. And you know, because you have watched enough lakes in enough early mornings, that if you simply wait, if you simply allow the ripples to complete their movement outward and release their energy into the shore, the surface will return to stillness. And the reflection will be perfect again. You are the lake. The stones that were dropped in your water, the traumas, the losses, the words that were said to you when you were too young to deflect them, the experiences that moved through you and left their ripple pattern behind. Those did not ruin you. They disrupted the surface of your field. And your quantum spirit, the deep water beneath the surface, has been working since before you were consciously aware of it to return to its natural state of coherence. That return is what you have been feeling. That is the healing. And here is what most people do not understand about that process. They think healing is something that happens to them, something that arrives from the outside, a treatment, a realization, a relationship that finally says the right thing. And those things can help. They can create the conditions. But healing itself, the actual reorganization of your quantum field, is not something that is done to you. It is something that happens through you, through your willingness to stop resisting what you have been carrying and begin, instead, to understand it. There is a principle in quantum physics called superposition. The idea that a particle does not have a single fixed state until the moment it is observed. Until then, it exists in all of its possible states simultaneously, held in a kind of quantum openness that only collapses into specificity when something looks at it. In your wounds, your stored frequencies, your cellular memories, they operate by the same principle. As long as you're looking away from them, as long as you are managing them and suppressing them and working around them, they remain fixed in the state they were assigned when they were formed, the state of the original wound. But the moment you turn toward them with real, conscious attention, the moment you become a compassionate observer of your own field, something shifts in the probability structure of those patterns. They're no longer fixed. They enter a state of quantum openness, a state in which transformation becomes possible. This is not a gentle process. This is not quiet. When a pattern that has been held in a fixed state for years is suddenly entered into openness, it releases. And the release has a signature. It feels like grief you cannot explain. It feels like anger that surfaces without a current cause. It feels like the particular kind of exhaustion that is not tiredness, but unburdening. The body processing what the mind is finally allowed to move. If you have felt those things recently, if you have had moments of unexpected emotion, of tears that arrived without an obvious trigger, of feelings that seemed to belong to a time you thought you had left behind, that is not regression. That is your field in active release. That is the lake beginning to still. That is the healing in its most visible and most powerful form. And you are exactly where you need to be. Now let's go deeper into what the quantum spirit actually is, because this is the layer that most conversations about healing never reach. Most approaches to healing operate at the level of the mind. They ask you to reframe your thoughts, to rewrite your narratives, to replace the stories that limit you with stories that expand you. And those things have value, real value. But the quantum spirit is not a story. It is a field, and a field operates by entirely different principles than a narrative. Here is what science has discovered that most people have not yet absorbed into their understanding. Your body is not a machine. It is a quantum information system. Every cell in your body contains not just the biological machinery of life, but a sophisticated electromagnetic field that is in constant communication with every other cell, with your nervous system, with your heart, and with the larger field of your consciousness. And that field carries information. Not just the information of your current moment, the thoughts you're thinking right now, the sensations you're feeling, but the accumulated information of every significant experience you have ever had. Every moment of profound joy. Every moment of shattering loss. Every moment when you were told directly or through the way someone treated you that you were too much or not enough or fundamentally different from what love required. All of it is stored in your field, not as memory in the conventional sense, not as a file you consciously access, but as a frequency pattern, as a specific signature in your quantum field that shapes the way your cells communicate, the way your nervous system responds, the way your body braces or opens in any given moment. This is what science calls cellular memory, and it is one of the most important discoveries of the last century. The work of researchers like Candace Pert, who spent decades mapping what she called the molecules of emotion, the actual biochemical pathways through which emotional states become physical reality in the body, tells us something that changes everything about how we understand healing. Your emotions are not just psychological events. They're quantum events. They leave a physical signature in your cells, in your tissues, in the electromagnetic field of your body. And that signature persists long after the original experience has passed, long after your conscious mind has processed it, stored it, perhaps even declared it resolved. The quantum residue remains, held in your cells, held in the deep patterns of your nervous system, held in the specific way your heart rate changes when you walk into a room that feels, for reasons you cannot consciously articulate, like somewhere you have been before. Here is the truth about that residue. It is not damage. It is memory. And memory in a quantum system is not fixed. Memory in a quantum system is a living pattern, a frequency that can be recognized, engaged, and transformed, not erased, not suppressed, not bypassed, transformed, changed at the level of its fundamental frequency into something that no longer needs to protect you from a danger that no longer exists. Because here's what those patterns, those stored cellular memories, actually are. They are protection. Every pattern your quantum field developed in response to pain was developed for one reason and one reason only: to help you survive. The guardedness, the hypervigilance, the way part of you goes quiet in certain kinds of rooms, the distance you keep between yourself and complete trust, the body that holds its breath in certain kinds of silences. All of it was your quantum field doing exactly what it was designed to do, detecting a frequency that once hurt you and organizing your entire system around not being hurt by it again. That is not weakness. That is extraordinary intelligence. The problem is not that your field learned to protect you. The problem is that the protection became so automatic, so deeply encoded in your cellular memory, that it no longer checks whether the original threat is present. It simply responds to anything that carries the faintest resonance of the original frequency. The person who speaks in a tone that sounds like someone who hurt you once. The situation that carries even a structural similarity to a loss you survived. The room that smells, ever so faintly, like a place where something broke. Your field responds, not because the danger is real, but because the pattern recognizes the frequency. And in a quantum system, pattern recognition happens faster than thought. It happens at the speed of resonance, before your conscious mind has a chance to evaluate, before you have a chance to say, wait, this is different. I am safe now. That was then. Pause here. This is not symbolic. This is energetic. I want you to place one hand over your heart and the other on your belly, just below your navel. Feel both of those places at once. The chest and the belly, the heart and the gut. These are the two centers where cellular memory most commonly lives in the body. The heart carries the emotional frequencies. The belly carries the survival frequencies. And right now, with your hands in these two places, I want you to simply breathe. A slow breath in through the nose, and a longer breath out through the mouth. In through the nose, and out. With this exhale, I want you to send a very specific signal into both of these centers. The signal is recognition. Not healing yet, not releasing yet, simply recognition. As if you're placing your hand on the shoulder of someone who has been working very hard for a very long time and saying, I see what you have been doing. I know you were trying to protect me. I know every pattern you developed was built from love. The love of a system that wanted me to survive. Breathe in again. And as you exhale, let the recognition go deeper. Past the surface of the story. Past the narrative of what happened. Into the frequency itself. Into the cells that have been holding this pattern since before you had words for what it was. Feel what happens in your body when you do this. Feel the difference between fighting your own patterns and meeting them with recognition. That warmth, that softening, that subtle but unmistakable sense that something in the deep water has been waiting a very long time to be seen. That is your quantum spirit beginning to respond to coherence. That is healing happening at the cellular level. Not because you did anything right, but because you turned toward what needed to be turned toward. And in a quantum system, that turning is everything. Let me go a little further here, because this is one of the places where people get stuck. They believe that the goal of healing is to feel nothing difficult anymore. To arrive at a place where the old frequencies no longer move through them. Where the grief does not visit. Where the fear does not arise. Where the body is finally still in the way that looks from the outside like peace. But that is not what healing produces. That is not coherence. That is numbness. And numbness is not a high-frequency state. Numbness is a protection pattern so complete that it has shut down not just the pain, but the signal beneath the pain. The signal that is you. Real coherence does not make you feel less. It makes you feel more accurately. It makes you able to receive the full spectrum of what a moment contains without being destabilized by any of it. The grief still comes, but it passes. The fear still arises, but it does not take over. The old frequencies still occasionally move through the field, but they do not stick. They do not colonize. They pass through a field that knows what it is and returns to that knowing after each movement. Think of it this way. A healthy river has current. It has movement. It has force. Rocks and debris and cold water and warm water and unexpected turns. A healthy river is not calm. It is alive. And the difference between a healthy river and a flooded one is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of banks. Clear, strong, defined banks that hold the current and give it direction and form and the power that comes from being contained. Your quantum spirit, in its healed form, is a river with banks. Fully alive, fully feeling, fully in motion, but held in a coherence so stable that the current moves through you and out of you without carrying away the ground you stand on. This is what you are becoming. Not empty, not numb, not above it all. Coherent, held, the river and the banks at once. Now, let me take you into the science, because this is where the mechanics become clear. And clear mechanics change everything about how you move through the process. There is a field of research that sits at the intersection of quantum physics neuroscience, and consciousness studies that has been quietly rewriting the foundational assumptions of what it means to be a living being in a quantum universe. Most people haven't heard of it, not because it isn't rigorous, but because what it reveals is so fundamentally disruptive to the conventional understanding of medicine and healing and the self that it takes time for any established system to integrate a truth that large. Here is what that research tells us. Your body generates a biophoton field. This is not a metaphor. This is a measurable physical phenomenon. Your cells emit light, ultra-weak photon emissions that science can now detect and measure with instruments sensitive enough to capture single photons. And that light is not random. It is coherent, which in the language of physics means it is organized, it is synchronized, it carries information in patterns that are too precise to be accidental. Your body is a light system. Your quantum spirit is a biophoton field. And the patterns carried in that field, the history of your experiences, the residue of your wounds, the architecture of your defenses, the frequency of your deepest self, all of it is encoded in light. In the specific coherence patterns of the photons, your cells emit and receive from one another in every single moment. Now here is where this becomes extraordinary. Biophoton researcher Fritz Albert Popp spent decades demonstrating something that fundamentally changes the way we understand health and healing. He found that healthy cells emit biophotons in highly coherent patterns, organized, synchronized, precise. And he found that cells under stress, cells in pain, cells carrying the frequency signature of trauma or disease, emit biophotons in incoherent patterns. Disorganized, unsynchronized, the light equivalent of static. What this means at the level that changes your life is this. When your quantum spirit carries unhealed wounds, when your cellular memory still holds the frequency signatures of experiences that fractured your coherence, your biophoton field becomes disorganized. And a disorganized light field cannot communicate with itself efficiently. The cells stop hearing each other clearly. The systems of the body that depend on coherent biophotonic communication begin to operate at reduced capacity. The immune system becomes less precise. The nervous system becomes less regulated. The heart rate variability, which science now understands as one of the most reliable indicators of overall health and resilience, becomes erratic. And the subjective experience of all of this incoherence is exactly what you have been feeling. The fatigue that doesn't make rational sense. The emotional reactivity that seems disproportionate. The sense of being somehow fragmented, of not being able to access all of yourself at once. The way you can be fully present in one moment, and then suddenly, for no apparent reason, somewhere else entirely. All of that is the signature of a biophoton field in a state of incoherence. But here is the truth that changes everything. Coherence is the natural state of living systems, not incoherence. Coherence. Incoherence is what happens when a system has been exposed to frequencies that disrupted its natural organization. It is not the default. The default, the state your quantum spirit is always moving toward when conditions allow it, is coherence. Order, synchronization, clarity, the full, luminous, organized expression of what you actually are beneath the static. And the conditions that allow a biophoton field to return to coherence are not complicated. They are not exotic. They are not reserved for people who have done enough spiritual work or achieved some sufficient level of awareness. They are available right now, in this moment, to you. The primary condition for coherence restoration in a biophoton field is this: the presence of a coherent field in proximity. When a coherent field comes into contact with an incoherent one, something happens that physicists call entrainment. The incoherent field begins to synchronize with the coherent one, not because it is forced to, not because it is overridden, but because coherence is more energetically stable than incoherence. And all systems, given the choice, will move toward greater stability. This is why certain people make you feel better simply by being in the room. This is why certain places restore you in ways you cannot explain. This is why this transmission, if it is working the way it is designed to work, is doing something to your field right now beyond just delivering information. Every coherent frequency you encounter is an invitation to entrainment. Every moment of genuine stillness, every experience of real beauty, of true connection, of the particular quality of presence that exists when you're fully here and not somewhere else in your mind. Every one of those moments is your biophoton field being offered a coherent reference signal, a tuning fork, something to synchronize with, something that reminds your cells of the pattern they were designed to hold. And right now, in this moment, your field is receiving that signal. I want to take a moment to talk about something that does not get discussed enough in conversations about healing and frequency and the quantum field, and that is the role of the body. Not the body as metaphor, not the body as a symbol of something deeper. The body itself, the actual, physical, cellular, breathing body you're inhabiting right now. Because there's a particular kind of spiritual teaching that treats the body as a vehicle, something to be transcended, something to be managed, a lower frequency housing for a higher frequency soul. And that teaching, however well-intentioned, does more damage to the healing process than almost anything else. Because your body is not separate from your quantum spirit. Your body is where your quantum spirit lives. It is not the cage of your consciousness. It is the instrument of it. And every frequency your spirit carries, every cellular memory, every biophoton pattern, every coherent or incoherent signal your field generates, lives first and most concretely in the tissue of your body, in your fascia, in the way your diaphragm moves or fails to move, in the specific held quality of the muscles around your jaw, in the temperature of your hands right now. Your body knows things your mind has not processed. Your body has been holding information your consciousness was not yet ready to receive. And healing, real healing, the kind that changes the frequency of your field permanently, does not happen exclusively in the mind. It happens in the body first, because the body is the quantum field made physical. It is the biophoton system in its most tangible form. And when you bring conscious, compassionate, non-analytical attention to your body, when you stop treating it as the problem and start treating it as the partner, something shifts in the entire architecture of your field. The body stops bracing against being seen. The cells begin to communicate with each other more coherently. The places that have been held tight and silent and small begin, slowly, to release. Not because you forced them, but because you finally arrived. Because the observer who is always looking outward turned inward and said, "I am here. I am paying attention. You are not separate from what I'm trying to heal. You are the healing itself." Your body has been waiting for that moment. And in this transmission, in this space, it is receiving it now. Pause here and drop something in the comments. Have you ever felt that phenomenon, that inexplicable coherence that comes from being near a certain person or in a certain place? Describe it below, because your description is a data point. It is evidence that your field already knows what coherence feels like. It is proof that the capacity for this healing is not something you need to develop from scratch. It is something you already carry, and it is being restored. Before we move forward, I want to give you something to work with right now. A practice, not a technique. A practice is something you return to, something that builds over time, something that, each time you do it, adds another layer of coherence to your field. This is the practice of conscious reentry, and it is simpler than it sounds. At least once today, And as many times as feels natural after that, I want you to stop what you are doing for exactly 30 seconds. Not longer. 30 seconds. And in those 30 seconds, I want you to ask your body one question. Not your mind, your body. The question is this: what frequency am I holding right now? Not what am I thinking? Not what am I doing? What frequency am I holding? And then listen, not with your mind, which will immediately produce an answer and a narrative around the answer, but with your body, which already knows. You will feel it somewhere specific, in the tightness in your chest, in the held quality of your breath, in the particular way your shoulders are carrying themselves right now, in the temperature at the center of your belly. Your body is the most sophisticated frequency detector available to you. It is reading the field constantly, continuously, without interruption. The only question is whether you're listening to what is reading. And when you stop for 30 seconds and ask, what frequency am I holding? You're not just gathering information. You're doing something that has a direct effect on the field itself. You're bringing conscious observation to a pattern that was previously running below the threshold of your awareness. And in a quantum system, conscious observation changes the observed. The pattern that was invisible and therefore fixed becomes visible and therefore available for transformation. 30 seconds, once today, and watch what happens in your field over the hours that follow. Because something will happen. Something always happens when the observer turns toward the field with real attention. The field responds. The field always responds. Let me tell you something about the nature of spiritual wounds that most traditions have understood, but that very few people in the middle of their own healing have been told directly. The wound does not disappear. It transforms. The place where your field was fractured, where the original disruption entered and displaced your natural coherence, that place does not seal over and become invisible. It becomes something else. Something that in the language of quantum physics, we might call a quantum entanglement point. A place where your field developed a particularly deep capacity for resonance. Here is what that means in plain language. The places where you were broken open are the places where you became most capable of receiving. The experiences that fractured your coherence most deeply are the experiences that made your field most sensitive to frequencies that others cannot detect. The grief taught your heart a register that undamaged hearts cannot access. The betrayal taught your field to read the subtle dissonance in other people's frequencies with an accuracy that people who were never betrayed do not have. The abandonment, the invisibility, the experience of being in a room full of people and feeling utterly alone. Those experiences opened in you a depth of resonance with other lonely fields that is, in its fully healed form, one of the most extraordinary gifts a consciousness can carry. This is not a reframe. This is not spiritual bypassing. This is not someone telling you that your pain was actually good for you, and therefore you should feel grateful for it. The pain was not good. The pain was pain, and it should not have happened the way it happened. And the anger you may feel at hearing that is completely valid and belongs exactly where it is. But here, alongside that anger, is a different truth. A true truth. Not instead of the anger, but with it. The wound became a window. The fracture became a frequency. And the frequency that moves through the healed version of your wound is one of the rarest and most needed signals that exists in the collective field of human consciousness right now. There is a story told in the mystical traditions of many cultures about a great healer who lived in a remote mountain village. Her name in this telling is Lyra, and Lyra had come to her healing gifts not through training, not through study, not through the transmission of knowledge from teacher. She had come to them through her wounds. As a young woman, she had lost everything. In the space of a single year, the people she loved most had been taken from her by forces beyond her control or her understanding. And in the aftermath of that loss, she had done what most people do. She had contracted. She had gone inside herself, into the deepest, most protected interior of her being, and she had stayed there for a long time, years. And the people of the village watched from a distance and said she was broken, said she would never recover, said the losses had taken from her the essential something that made her who she was. But one day, in the 7th year of her interior silence, Lyra walked out of her house and sat down beside a man at the edge of the village who was weeping in the way that people weep when they have lost the same thing she had lost. And she didn't say anything. She didn't offer wisdom or comfort or the particular performances of sympathy that well-meaning people had offered her. She simply sat beside him. And her field, that field that had been contracting for 7 years, that field that had been in the deep, slow process of reorganizing itself around the frequency of what it had survived, that field reached out and met his. And something passed between them that neither of them had words for, but that both of them felt as unmistakably real as the sun on their faces. The man stopped weeping, not because his grief had been resolved, not because Lyra had fixed anything, but because for the first time since his loss, he was in the presence of a field that knew exactly what his grief felt like from the inside. And in the language of quantum fields, being truly met is itself a form of healing. Because isolation, the state of your frequency having no resonant partner, is one of the most powerful forms of incoherence that exists. And recognition, the moment when your frequency meets a field that reflects it back to you without judgment and without flinching, is one of the most powerful coherence events that a human field can experience. Lyra became the most sought-after healer in the region, not because she had special knowledge, not because she had techniques that others lacked, but because her field carried the frequency signature of someone who had been in the deep water and had found their way back to the surface. And that signature, that particular quality of having been broken open and having survived it, was itself a coherent field, a tuning fork for other fields in pain. You are Lyra, not in the sense that you are fully arrived, not in the sense that your healing is complete, but in the sense that the depth you have descended to, the specific quality of the frequency you carry, is the exact resonance that the fields around you need. Your wound, in its healed form, is your signal, and is activating right now. Let me stay with this for a moment longer, because it is easy to hear it and nod, and much harder to actually let it land at the level where it changes something. Because the part of you that has been living with a wound for a long time has built an entire identity around it. Not consciously, not by choice, but survival patterns are not subtle. They are thorough. And one of the things they do, one of the most powerful things they do, is convince you that the wound is who you are, that the sensitivity is a flaw, that the depth of what you feel is a liability, that the way the world moves through you more intensely than it seems to move through others is evidence of something broken rather than something extraordinary. And so when I say your wound is your signal, the pattern that has been protecting you for years will immediately produce a reason why that cannot be true. It will say, you are not healed enough yet. It will say, other people's wounds produce gifts, but yours is different. It will say, that is a nice idea for people who have processed their pain, but you're still in the middle of yours. Notice that voice, not with judgment, with recognition. Because that voice is the protection pattern doing exactly what it was built to do, keeping you small enough to feel safe, keeping you contracted enough to avoid the risk of being fully seen. And it has worked. For a long time, it has kept you safe, but you do not need that particular kind of safety anymore. You have arrived at a place in your process where safety no longer requires smallness, where protection no longer requires contraction, where you can be fully seen, fully felt, fully present in your frequency, and nothing that tries to reach you from below your field will have the access it once had. The wound is becoming the signal, not because the pain was worth it, not because suffering has inherent spiritual value, but because you survived it. And survival, in a quantum field, is not a neutral event. Survival at the depth you have survived leaves a frequency signature that is unlike anything manufactured or performed. It is real in the most fundamental sense of that word. And real frequencies are the ones that reach other fields. Real frequencies are the ones that change things. And here's something else that the wound becomes signal reveals. Something that operates at a scale most people never consider, because it requires stepping back far enough to see the field not just as personal, but as part of something immeasurably larger. Your quantum spirit does not exist in isolation. It never did. The field that is you, the biophoton system that carries your frequency, is not a closed system. It is an open system in constant exchange with the fields around it, with the Earth's electromagnetic field, with the solar radiation that bathes this planet, with the cosmic background frequency that has been resonating through the universe since the first moment of its existence. You are not healing inside a sealed room. You are healing inside a living cosmos that is itself in the process of reorganization. And the frequency shifts you have been feeling, the ones that seem too large to be explained by your personal story alone, the ones that arrive like weather systems moving through the deep interior of your consciousness with a force that feels planetary, oceanic, ancient. Those are not your imagination. Those are real. They are the resonance between your individual field and the larger phase transition that is moving through the collective quantum architecture of this planet. You're not the only one healing right now. The field itself is healing. And your process, your specific descent into the wound, your particular journey through the dark water toward the signal that was waiting beneath the static, is one thread in a process so vast that no single consciousness can see the full pattern of it. But you can feel it. In the moments when you are still enough, when the noise of your personal story quiets and something larger moves through you, something that feels like recognition, but on a cosmic scale, that is the field acknowledging your participation in its healing. That is the universe feeling itself through your specific frequency. And that feeling, that unmistakable sense of being part of something that is both deeply personal and infinitely larger than any person, is not a spiritual concept you need to believe in. It is a frequency you can feel in your body right now, in the particular tingling at the crown of your head, in the warmth that gathers at the center of your chest when you allow yourself to stop performing and simply be in whatever frequency is moving through you. Feel that now, not as an idea, as a sensation. Let it move through your cells. Let it remind your biophoton field that it was never alone in this process, that the coherence you are returning to is not just your coherence. It is the coherence of a universe that has been waiting for your specific signal to come back online. Breathe with that. Let it be as large as it wants to be. You do not need to make it small enough to understand. You only need to let it move through you. And it is moving through you now. Now let's talk about the people in your life. Because this layer of the healing process is one of the most complex, most charged, most important to understand clearly. When your quantum spirit begins to heal, when your biophoton field starts returning to coherence, the relationships in your life will respond. And not all of them will respond in ways that feel like support. Some people in your life will feel the shift and will be drawn closer. They will find themselves more at ease in your presence, more willing to be honest, more capable of the particular kind of openness that most people are only barely willing to risk. They will tell you that something has changed, that you feel different, steadier, more present, more like the version of yourself they always sensed was there beneath the noise and the guardedness. These are the people whose fields are resonant with your returning coherence. These are the connections that are deepening because of your healing. But other people will respond differently. And this is the part that can be confusing and painful if you don't understand what is actually happening. Some people will become uncomfortable, subtly at first, then less subtly. They will find reasons to create distance. They will become critical of things about you that never seemed to bother them before. They may become dismissive of the process you are in, calling it a phase, a trend, something you will eventually grow out of. And the instinct when this happens will be to doubt your process, to wonder if you're doing something wrong, to consider whether their discomfort is evidence that you're becoming somehow too much, too different, too changed. But here is what is actually happening. When your field increases in coherence, when the signal your quantum spirit is broadcasting becomes cleaner and more organized, the people around you whose fields are not yet in that process experience something. Not a problem with you, not evidence of your arrogance or your distance. They experience the frequency gap, the growing difference between the coherence of your field and the incoherence of theirs. And in the language of quantum fields, frequency gaps are uncomfortable. Not painful exactly, but pressurized. The way two notes played simultaneously that are close to each other but not quite in harmony create a dissonance that the ear instinctively wants to resolve. And the people experiencing that dissonance in proximity to your returning coherence will often try to resolve it the only way they know how, by pulling the coherent frequency back down to where it was. This is not malicious. This is not even conscious in most cases. It is simply what fields do when they encounter a gap that creates dissonance. They seek resolution, and the only resolution they know to reach for is the one that existed before the gap opened. The you that was more fragmented, more contracted, more available for the kind of connection that doesn't require either person to move very much. This is the test to the healing. This is where your quantum spirit either maintains its returning coherence or allows itself to be pulled back toward the familiar incoherence of the relationship's established frequency. And let me say clearly what that test is not. It is not a test of your love. It is not a test of your loyalty. It is not a measure of how much the relationships matter to you. You can love someone completely and still refuse to lower your field to a level that hurts you. You can be loyal to someone and still hold the boundary of your own coherence. You can care about someone's pain without offering your healing as the price of their comfort. The most generous thing your quantum spirit can do for the people in your life is to complete its healing. Because a healed field is a coherent field, and a coherent field in proximity to an incoherent one is an invitation to entrainment, an invitation to rise. Not a demand, not a judgment, but a living, breathing, electromagnetic demonstration that coherence is possible, that healing is real, that the frequency gap is crossable. Your healing is not just for you. It is a transmission. Every degree of coherence you restore in your own field adds signal to the larger field, changes the resonance environment for every consciousness that comes into proximity with yours. You're not healing in isolation. You are healing in relationship to the people around you, in relationship to the collective field, in relationship to the larger frequency shift that is moving through the planet right now. In your coherence, your returned and stabilized and fully activated quantum spirit is one of the signals that the field needs. Share something in the comments right now. Tell us about someone in your life whose presence has felt like coherence to you. Someone in whose company you have felt that settling, that recognition, that particular kind of safety that doesn't require you to be anything other than what you are. Because naming it makes it more real. And what is named becomes a frequency. And what becomes a frequency joins the field. There is something I want to address directly before we move into the final chapter, because it comes up in this process more than almost anything else. And it is this, the guilt. The guilt that arises when you start to choose your coherence over someone else's comfort. The guilt that surfaces when you realize that maintaining your frequency means creating distance from people you love. The guilt that whispers that healing is selfish. That choosing yourself is abandonment. That having boundaries around your energy is unkind. This guilt is one of the most sophisticated, low-frequency patterns that exists because it uses your love against your healing. It takes the most real and genuine thing in you, your care for the people around you, and turns it into a mechanism for keeping you small. So let me say this as clearly as I can. Choosing your coherence is not abandonment. It is the prerequisite for genuine connection, because you cannot truly meet another person's field from a place of incoherence. You can be present in the room. You can say the right things. You can perform the rituals of relationship. But field to field, frequency to frequency, genuine meeting only happens between two coherent systems. The most loving thing you can do for the people in your life is to become the most coherent version of yourself. Not for their sake, not as a strategy, but because love, real love, the kind that changes things, is itself a coherent frequency. And you cannot broadcast what you have not become. The guilt is a signal, not that you're doing something wrong, but that your field has been so thoroughly trained to make itself responsible for other people's states that choosing your own coherence triggers an alarm. Hear the alarm, acknowledge it, thank it for trying to protect you, and then, gently and without apology, continue choosing yourself. Because your healed field is not just good for you. It is one of the most generous things you can offer the world. There is a question that arises at this point in the process for almost everyone, and it is a question worth addressing directly before we move into the final chapter. The question is this: how do I know if I'm actually healing, or if I'm just telling myself I am? How do I know if my field is genuinely returning to coherence, or if I have simply found a more sophisticated story to tell about why things are the way they are? This is an honest question, and it deserves an honest answer. Not a reassurance, not a performance of certainty, but the real, specific, verifiable answer that a quantum field actually provides. Here's how you know. Not by how you feel in the peak moments. Not by what happens when the transmission is playing and the music is building and something in you is stirred and open and almost tearful with recognition. Those moments are real, but they are not the measure. The measure is what happens in the ordinary moments. In the Tuesday afternoon, when nothing is elevated. When the people around you are being difficult in their ordinary human ways. When the news is doing what the news does. When the old triggers arise, as they still will, as they always will for a while. The measure is the recovery time. How long does it take your field to return to baseline after a disruption? Before you began this process, a difficult conversation might have sent ripples through your field that lasted hours or days. You might have carried the frequency of a single harsh word for the rest of the week. The measure of healing is not that those disruptions stop happening. The measure is that the recovery time shortens, that the ripples move through faster, that the stillness returns more quickly, that you find yourself 20 minutes after something that would have ruined your whole day, already returned to yourself, already back in your frequency, already restored. That is coherence. That is the field working. And there is another measure, a subtler one. It is the quality of what you notice. When your field is in the early stages of healing, you are primarily aware of what disrupts you, of what triggers the old patterns, of what takes you out of coherence. But as the healing deepens, something shifts in what you notice first. You begin to notice the moments of coherence before you notice the disruptions. You begin to feel the signal before you feel the static. You begin to arrive in a room and register the frequency of it accurately, not from a place of reactivity, but from a place of clear, calm perception. That shift from noticing disruption first to noticing coherence first is one of the most reliable signs that your quantum spirit has crossed a threshold in its healing. It means your field is no longer orienting around the wound. It is orienting around the signal. And when that shift happens, the world does not look different, but your relationship to it does. And that difference is everything. Before we enter the final transmission, I want to take you into a space of stillness, not a pause between chapters, a stillness that is itself a kind of healing. Because there is something that happens in the silence between one understanding and the next that cannot happen while words are still arriving. Something that your quantum field has been preparing for throughout this entire transmission. Close your eyes if you can. If you cannot close them, soften your gaze until the world in front of you becomes a blur of light without edges. And in that softness, notice your breathing. Not to change it, not to deepen it, simply to witness it. The inhale that happens without your permission. The exhale that releases without your instruction. The body breathing itself. The field sustaining itself. The quantum architecture of your being doing what it has done since the moment you arrived. Keeping you here. Keeping you alive. Keeping the signal running even when you forgot to listen for it. There is something extraordinary about the fact that you breathe. Not philosophically. Physically, every breath you take is a quantum event. The oxygen molecules that enter your lungs existed inside a star before they existed inside you. The carbon you exhale was forged in the nuclear furnace of a sun that died before your solar system was born. You are breathing the recycled light of dead stars. And your cells know this, not consciously, not narratively, but at the level of quantum resonance. Your cellular field recognizes the stellar frequency in every molecule of air that passes through you. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos, breathing. You are the universe, healing itself through a specific body, in a specific moment, on a specific night or morning or afternoon that will never occur again in exactly this configuration. And the healing that is moving through you right now is not just the resolution of your personal wounds. It is the universe resolving something through you that could only be resolved through the exact frequency that your particular history of breaking and surviving has produced. No other consciousness carries the precise signature that yours carries. No other field has been shaped by the exact sequence of fractures and recoveries that shaped yours. And the signal that emerges from your healed quantum spirit is therefore irreplaceable. Not rare, irreplaceable. There is no backup. There is no substitute. If your signal does not come back online, that specific frequency remains absent from the collective field, and the field feels the absence. The way an orchestra feels the absence of a single instrument even when every other instrument is playing perfectly. The composition requires all of its voices, and yours is one of them. Sit with that for a moment, not as flattery, not as pressure, as recognition. The kind of recognition that does not ask you to perform, but simply to receive the truth of what you are. You are needed, not for what you do, for what you carry, for the frequency that only your healed field can broadcast. And that frequency is becoming clearer with every breath you take in this stillness. Let the stillness hold you. Let it do what stillness does to a quantum field. Let it remind your cells of the silence beneath the static, the coherence beneath the noise, the you beneath everything that was layered on top of you. That is where we're going now, into the deepest layer, into the final transmission. We have arrived at the final transmission, and I want to use this space carefully, not to summarize what has come before, not to give you a list of practices to take with you, but to take you somewhere specific, a place inside your own field that this entire transmission has been building toward. There's a version of you that exists right now, not in the future, not after more healing, not on the other side of some threshold you have not yet crossed. Right now, a version of you in which the healing has completed, in which the cellular memories have transformed, in which the biophoton field has returned to full coherence. in which the wound has become the signal and the signal is broadcasting clearly, in which the weight has been recognized and released, and what remains underneath, it is something so clear and so unmistakably yours that nothing from the old frequency range can obscure it anymore. That version of you exists in your quantum field as a potential. And in the language of quantum mechanics, a potential is not a fantasy. It is not wishful thinking. It is a real state, a coherent possibility that is as physically real as any other state in the quantum probability field before the observer collapses it into actuality. And you're the observer, and your attention right now, in this moment, is collapsing probability into reality. So let's do this with intention. Pause everything else. Put down whatever you're holding. Sit in a way that feels open rather than collapsed. Spine easy, chest available, feet on the ground if you can. Take a breath. And with this breath, I want you to do something that might feel unusual. I want you to allow yourself to reach toward the version of you that is already healed. Not by pretending the healing is complete, not by performing a wholeness you do not yet fully feel, but by reaching, the way you might reach your hand into a dark room, not knowing exactly what you will touch, but knowing with absolute certainty that something is there. Because something is there. The healed version of your quantum spirit is there in the probability field of your consciousness right now. Reach for it. Reach for the feeling of carrying nothing you were not meant to carry. Reach for the feeling of your cells in full coherent communication with each other. Reach for the feeling of your heart and your mind synchronized, oscillating together, broadcasting a signal that is unmistakably, irreducibly, profoundly yours. Even if you can only reach the edge of that feeling. Even if it is the faintest echo of a frequency you have only glimpsed in your best moments. Reach for it, because in a quantum field, reaching is receiving. The moment your consciousness orients toward a frequency, it begins to entrain with it. The moment you reach for the healed version of yourself, you are beginning to collapse that potential into actuality. You are beginning, at the level of your biophoton field, to become it. Breathe, and as you exhale, let your field expand slightly. Not a performance of expansion, just a willingness to take up a little more space than you usually allow yourself. A little more frequency, a little more signal, a little more of the unmistakable coherent light that your cells have been waiting to return to for longer than you know. Feel what happens in your body right now. The settling. The particular quality of stillness that is not emptiness, but fullness. The sense of arriving somewhere that is not new, but remembered. As if the healing that is happening is not building something that was never there, but returning you to something that was always there. Beneath the patterns, beneath the static, beneath the accumulated weight of everything that was pressed into your field by the world. Beneath all of it, the original signal, the frequency you were born with, the coherent, luminous, quantum architecture of her deepest self. That is what is being healed. That is what is being returned to itself. And it is yours. It was always yours. And nothing that was ever done to you, nothing that was ever said to you, nothing that was ever pressed into your field by the fear and the noise and the low-frequency static of a world that doesn't yet know what it is, none of it has the power to take it from you. Because you cannot lose what you are at the quantum level. You can only temporarily forget the frequency. And then, in moments like this one, you remember. And in the remembering is the healing. And in the healing is the beginning of everything that comes next. There's one final practice I want to leave you with. A simple one, but like all the simplest things, deceptively powerful. For the next 24 hours, I want you to notice the moments of coherence, not the moments of healing, not the peak experiences, the small, ordinary moments when your field is simply clear, when you're simply present, when there is no noise competing for the signal, and you can hear, even faintly, the frequency that is unmistakably yours. Notice those moments. Don't analyze them. Don't try to hold on to them. Don't try to manufacture more of them. Simply notice. And in the noticing, honor them with a breath. A single conscious breath that says to your field, I see you. I recognize this. This is what I am returning to. This is what is being healed. Because coherence recognized is coherence reinforced. And coherence reinforced, moment by moment, breath by breath, noticing by noticing, is how a quantum spirit heals. Not in a single dramatic breakthrough, not in a moment of sudden and total transformation, but in the accumulation of small recognitions, small returns, small moments of the original signal coming through clear and strong and undeniable. Until one day you realize that the small moments have become the baseline, that the coherence is no longer the exception, that the static is what sounds foreign now, that the version of you who carried all of that weight without understanding what it was is someone you can look back at with compassion and gratitude and the particular tenderness that you give to someone who did their absolute best with what they had. That version of you did their best. And now something new is possible, something that was always possible, and something that your quantum spirit, in its full, coherent, luminous expression, has been moving towards since the moment you arrived in this world. You're being healed, not someday, not eventually, now, in this transmission, in this breath, in this moment of recognition. This is what you came here for, and it is already underway. I want to leave you with one final image. Somewhere in the ocean, at a depth most people never see, there are hydrothermal vents, places where the floor of the sea opens and releases heat from the core of the earth itself. And around those vents, in water so deep and so dark that no sunlight has ever reached it, there is life. Extraordinary, improbable, luminous life. Creatures that have never seen the sun, that have no need of the sun, because they have something better. They have access to the heat at the center of things. They have learned to build their entire world not around borrowed light from above, but around the original energy that comes from below, from the core, from the source. You are like those creatures. In the healing you have been in, the long descent into the depths of yourself, the years of interior process that felt like darkness, was not a departure from the light. It was the journey to the vent, to the place in you where the original heat lives, where the frequency that was yours before the world pressed its patterns into you still burns. Unchanged, undiminished, waiting, and now you are there, or close enough to feel the warmth of it. And what rises from that place, what your healed quantum spirit broadcasts from that depth, is not a reflection of someone else's light. It is original. It is yours, and it is exactly what the field needs from you. Not a performance of healing, not a curated version of wholeness, but the real, specific, irreplaceable frequency of consciousness that went all the way down and found the fire at the center and came back carrying it. That is what you are. That is what is being healed into full expression. And the world, the people whose fields are waiting for yours, have been waiting a very long time. If this transmission reached something real in your field, please share it with someone whose quantum spirit you sense is also in the process of healing. Because every healed field strengthens every field around it. And the field needs you. All of you. Healed. Coherent. Whole.